The question that I would like you to write down your answer to, and don't show me your answer yet, we're going to come back to it at the end, is what is something about raising money that founders usually find out after it's too late?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, so we'll come back to your answer at the end. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. The first thing that really intrigued me about your story, Leon, is that you are a venture capitalist. And I interview business owners who want to make content about their business, and they want to be interviewed like this. And something that I keep hearing from people is that I should find startups that have been VC backed, because then okay, this is a startup, they have a story, but that if they have been VC backed or funded in some way, that they probably have more budget for things like marketing and content. And that made me realize that I really don't know very much about how venture capitalism works, and I would like to understand it better. So, if you had to explain venture capitalism to like a 12-year-old child, how do you think you would explain it?
I have to write down this, right?
No, you can just talk to me now.
Okay. So, okay, just imagine you are 12 years old. Okay, good. So venture capitalist, it's not about what people think. It's not about a risky investment. People think venture capital is risky. It's not risky. Venture capitalist, it's actually the brokerage between people with money and people who need money to grow their business. It's a professional brokerage. We raise capital from people who have money and wanted to grow their money, and distribute this capital among very good companies or bad companies. It depends based on our understanding and our investment thesis. So in couple of words, in short, a venture capitalist is actually is brokerage.
Okay. That makes sense. And that's interesting that you say people think it's risky, but it's actually not risky if you know what you're doing.
I'm not looking for risky investment because we have to make return of investment to our limited partners, LPs. And if it's very risky, so it should be some balance between risk and investment capabilities, because from one side, you have to make, I don't know, X30, X100 money, and ROI to I to LPs. And from other side, you can do it only if you invest in an early stage, because if you invest in a very advanced stage, you reduce the risk, but also you reduce the revenue and return of investment. So it's that's why each venture capital has its own thesis. What kind of money they raise, for what kind of investors, greedy investors to have a 100 times return, or investors who are ready for 10 times return or 5 times return, but less risky. So we make some investment thesis that satisfy our specific, I would say, ideal investor, like ICP, ideal client, ideal investor. So if I'm going to build seed around A investment, I really plan at least 30 times return, and I apply to the investor looking for 30 times return. If I'm going to invest in round B, C at high valuation, so I apply to some institutional investors I don't know, pension funds or something like this, because then they cannot put money in the risky investment. So it's a trade-off actually.
Okay. So when people talk about seed A, seed B, seed C, that's the difference, is that seed like B or C will be higher investments and people will often go to institutions as opposed to private. Is that kind of the difference?
Private usually, no, it's not 0 and 1. So you have a superposition between, like in quantum physics, you have superposition. So you just decide what kind of investment you are going to do, for what company, what kind of companies you are going to support, because venture capital is not only brokerage, it also support. Before it was brokerage. Now, if you cannot support your company, you will lose. So you have to help the companies. So it's, and you decide what companies you can help, and you decide what kind of investor fits the companies you like, you can help, and you have relationships to bring this company to success.
Interesting. Okay. So as a venture capitalist yourself, what do you specifically look for in a business to determine if you will invest with them?
It's a very complicated, very interesting question, because it's a very complex stuff. In my book, Invisible Game, I just talk about 5 P's that separate fundable companies from not fundable. Because we have to understand that there is a difference between raising round and fundability of the company. Because raising a round could be, I like this guy, I like this business, but nothing about real fundability of the business. Maybe business will die very soon. And fundability is based on 5 P's mostly. It's a process, so founder dynamics. It's about proof. People like to talk traction, but traction is a very superficial term. Proof is much more important and much more deep term that explain not only how much, how many devices I sold. No, it's about behavior. What kind of change of behavior of customer I trigger. This is the most important. Then third is packaging. So how you take all the documentation, everything, and package together. So it's about operations. If you're good in operation or bad in operation. And this is what we are looking in people, in founders. And through fundraising process, this becomes clear how they're good in operations. Because if they're not good in operations, they won't build their companies. Then fourth is it's a capital planning. It's a planning. So you raise capital. How are you going to use it? It belongs to go-to-market strategy. It belongs to hiring, whom you're going to hire, how you distribute your money. Because most of the founders, they just build their business plan out of the blue. Okay, we're going to have $5 million in revenue in 3 months, so let's do. Oh, how much you have to invest to get to this revenue? How much you have to invest to conquer uh, your market, initial market, service, sustainable market. All these around, it's very important to learn, and this is how I define. I created so-called Eisen fundability score, where I score company for these 5 Ps. And by the way, every Monday I publish analytic report, VC analytic report and playbook for founders. That is based on something that happened for the last week. It's like a fashion. Fashion changes every week, right? So every week we talk about what kind of makeup we have to buy and all this stuff. So this is exactly the same. So I analyze 10, 15 startups to get funded in the middle market. I'm not talking about $1 billion investment. It's a different story. In the middle market, analyze why they get invested, what happens, apply my score. And very interesting result happen. Sometimes company has a low score and they get very good funding. And it doesn't grow anymore. And a very somehow good company has a very low score because VC and investor didn't understand exactly what's the future, or maybe founder couldn't present it correctly. And finally, this company win. And my score could recognize exactly what company, what kind of score, and what kind of investment is deserve this investment or not, and why, and what you have to, and how you should change your narration talking to investors this week, next week.
Okay. So it was proof, packaging.
Proof, it's a process, proof, packaging, planning, and positioning.
Yes. Okay. Okay. And those are
Positioning is the most important because even when you start your elevator pitch to investor, different wording create different results. Just different sequence of words in your elevator pitch create different results. And here we come to quantum physics as well, because quantum physics is non-cumulative. Cumulative. It depends on sequence of events, and our classical world doesn't depend on sequence of events. So you can just, replace sequence. And this is what make fundraising very close to quantum principles. Our world is built on.
Interesting. Okay. So you have a very strict kind of process that you look at to determine, is this a company that makes sense for me to invest in? So from a startup's perspective, because I know that you've been in this seat as well. Like I remember reading about you, and I think it was 2008, the world's going through a financial crisis. I read that you were facing bankruptcy as you were also holding your newborn child, which is very stressful to think about. But you went from being in that situation to then raising $1 million for your startup. So can you tell me the story about how you figured that out and then later became a VC?
First of all, I didn't figure it out. I can tell you that all the books written, how did I make this $1 billion is a bullshit, because it's like, like a stock exchange. Or 100 times I lost, now I won. Now I just go back and try to understand how did they won and share it in a book. And believe me, if you copy this, you will never win. So it's the same here. Okay, maybe because I did this and that, I won. That time, you don't know. It's just luck or not luck. That's all. You have an idea and you are lucky, you're in a good place, a good time, or you're not. Even you cannot understand if it's a good time, good place. I just did what I want to do. That belongs to my expertise, and I knew I can do it. People need it, and actually, I won because I was in a good time, in a good place, and I sold more than 100 healthcare organizations in the United States my first product because it was a good time. Today is a bad time. Such a product you cannot sell to healthcare organization anymore. But that time, I was quite famous. I gave interview everywhere, including New York Times, ABC News. So people come to me and ask for an interview because I was world first who did it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I don't like plan B. You mentioned bankruptcy. I don't like plan B. I think for founder, plan B doesn't exist. Just doesn't exist. And I decided to leave my job to focus on my company, and I was living on the money I collected before. So this money almost finished before I raised my first capital, first $1 million. So yeah, but I know exactly if I had plan B, I would never succeed.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that because I've found that a lot in a lot of online business content. People are very quick to try to sell their success story in some way, and there can be value in it. But I appreciate what you said there that, it took many years of failing and figuring it out. There's no like formula to my success or no magic trick that I can sell people. But I think what makes your story interesting to me and what I think makes it valuable is that you are somebody who went from being in the position of having a startup to now being on the other side of it and being a VC. So for somebody who maybe is in the early stages of a startup, what did that process look like for you of raising that $1 million? Like what does that look like for a startup founder? Where do they start? What do they have to do? What did you have to do?
It's very personal because raising the first capital belongs to not to success because you don't have product yet, you don't have sales yet, you have nothing. So people invest not in the companies, people invest in you. So it's everything about your charisma and momentum. So this is what I'm writing about. If you don't have charisma but have momentum, you will not get money because investment 50% is psychology. And my book, Invisible Game, why it's called Invisible, it's about psychology of investing. And from other side, you have to have momentum. People think momentum is okay. I start sales, I start to raise just 1,000, another 1,000, they create. No, momentum is very complex stuff. Momentum includes market demand, and you validated this. Momentum includes you hiring people working with you, even for free in the beginning. So you succeeded to convince them that it's an amazing project. So momentum is a very complex stuff that includes inner company stuff and outer ecosystem. So momentum is built about ecosystem. So you have to two things. First, charisma, and second, build ecosystem around you that creates momentum. And in this case, you can raise 100%. You can raise. If you forgot something, you won't.
Interesting. Okay. So you went from building a startup. I don't know you said it was in the medical field. You raised $1 million for that, and then all these years later, now you're on the other side and you're a VC. So what made
Yeah,
you yeah, what
it's very fun because I like to try something. Every decade, I try something new. I was a scientist and PhD in quantum physics and did postdoc. It was the first decade and the second decade. It's engineering. I was working like engineer in many startups and companies. And then I decided, third decade, I decided to build my own company. And for 11 years, I was leading this company like a CEO and like a chairman for another 5 years. Now I left. I still in the board, but it's a different story. So I can tell you that if I would know what I know today from other side of the table, I would raise, I don't know, $500 million. I just didn't know what I didn't know. And you can learn it only from other side where you are investor and VC and you are talking every day, 3, 5 startups pitch you. First of all, you are in a cottage of what happens in the world because you meet amazing founders, amazing startups, you understand how it works. And second, you start to evaluate startups and you start to learn, you start to see the mistakes and breakthroughs. You after some time you feel it. It's impossible to explain. And this is what also I'm written in my book about invisible game, about psychology of investor. How do you have to start a conversation with investor? Again, wording is very important. If you start conversation looking at the flow, you lost. You lost because I'm aware this guy will not raise money anymore. So it's it's very complicated stuff, and it doesn't obey some classical rules. It's totally quantum rules that is based on uncertainty, full uncertainty, and quantum probability. And quantum probability is when so in classic probability, some events you summarize probability of events. This event, another event, you summarize it and you get some probability. In quantum probability, you can get a negative result. You have interference of events, okay? So, for example, in fundraising, you are going to raise capital and you have interference between momentum and charisma, and they interfere to each other. It's not like probability of rising, just momentum plus charisma. No, they interfere. It could be negative if a momentum is down, or they have some together. When you summarize and multiply this, they just create impossible to raise your fund.
Interesting.
That's all.
So you mentioned before that of those 5 Ps, positioning is the most important, and you just said again that the way somebody communicates, the way they first start talking to investors is extremely important. So would you say that that positioning and their charisma and their communication is even more important than the business idea startup they have?
Much more important. Idea is not important at all. Today, I don't give a damn for idea. You can generate 1,000 ideas in ChatGPT. What's important? Idea that you cannot generate in ChatGPT based on your specific experience. But it's not clear idea. It's idea correlated with some operation if you can make it. Okay, so it's not if you come, okay, I have an idea, I was working in this area and I have great idea and you have some charisma, but I have to see that you can realize it. You can make it, actually. And how you behave, how you come to me, cold introduction, warm introduction, all these creates my understanding of your operation capabilities. So you can come with a great idea, but you cannot show good operation capabilities, you're lost. But idea today is nothing because you can make it in a couple of weeks using Lovable or something like this. So idea is nothing. Realization of this idea, operation around this idea, this is the most important. And market penetration, and still connections.
Interesting.
Connection will never die because business is all about connection. So if you were working, for example, in FDA or CDC, it's much easier for you to create the company and sell it to the big corporation because you know everybody.
Wow.
And and other guy who is like me, like I was in 2008, should compete in these guys to have access. That's a big problem.
Wow. That's very interesting. I'm really glad that you shared that because I think a lot of people would probably be surprised by that. So how does somebody become a venture capitalist? Because I would imagine people probably believe that all you need is money to be able to invest. But surely is there anything that somebody has to do to become a good VC?
You know, it's like in casino. What you need is money to lose it, right? So if you think this way, you will lose it, like in casino. Actually, investment is more than just money. Even if you don't have money, you can find money because, again, I remember it's a brokerage. If I have a very good company and I have charisma like a venture capitalist, I can find money to invest. For example, one of our investment vehicle is a syndicate. What is a syndicate? Syndicate is it's not to collect money a priori, 10 million, 100 million fund, keep it in account by milestones, and then to distribute it. Syndicate fund when I have some friends, some LPs who invest starting from $10,000 and more, and I offer them interesting company to invest in. So from one side, I have to talk to this company and convince founder to give me some allocation, $500,000. And from other side, I have to engage my LPs to invest in this company a small amount. And this is very interesting because you are it's like a marketplace, actually, like a marketplace.
Interesting. So it's not that a VC has to just have, you know, piles and piles of money themselves. They have to also have the skill of resourcefulness, of other connections and resources that they can tap into to do that brokerage, to be like a middleman, essentially.
Yes, but it's not only middleman. It's very elaborated
Yeah.
middleman. Understands the business, has expertise, understand how founder behavior itself, understand whom to invest in, understand the market. So actually, it's a profession that offer LPs good investment. Otherwise, a lot of company, a lot of venture funds just closed because they didn't have return of investment, because they didn't understand how to invest, how to find good company, how to convince founder to work with them, and a lot of companies closed, a lot. Or they didn't raise capital.
Mhm. Wow, that's so interesting.
So what I say that venture capital is something what founders do. They have to find money and they have to spend this money correctly. This is what founder does.
Mhm.
Find money and spend it correctly. And to
Interesting.
get return of investment. Same, exactly the same mindset. The difference that venture capitalists invest in the founder, so a company is all the product. So for me, like a venture capitalist, a company is a product. For founder, his product is a product.
Mhm.
But what I teach founders today, I'm a mentor and coacher of CEO coacher, founder coacher. I teach that they have to consider their company like a product as well, because they have to sell it to venture capitalists. And venture capitalists should see and should perceive their company like a product, full
Mhm.
product to all people. But problem that founders focus on their product, on development of their product, and they don't think that all the company is a product.
Interesting. And they, as the founder, are part of that product.
Exactly.
Wow. So, is there anything particular that you look for in startups these days in terms of like their industry or anything like that? Because I know a lot of people talk about AI and, businesses that can sell software as a service. So, are there any niches or industries that you, as a venture capitalist, are more drawn to in 2026?
I think defense tech, cybersecurity is very important. Quantum is, interest to quantum is growing very much, specifically quantum cryptography and all this stuff. And quantum computers, but it's still a long story. And definitely every company should or use AI for their development, because I'm not going to pay for their people. I'm going to pay for their growing. And also AI maybe is product like AI. But today, if company tell me we are AI native company, that's all, I stop conversation, because AI native nobody is interested. What like AI like infrastructure? This is important. How you gonna use it? And without AI, no infrastructure today. It's not. It's not. It's it's not good. It doesn't work. It's not optimal.
Interesting. So you look for companies with AI in the infrastructure, but not
Yeah.
a company that is completely 100% AI.
Or using AI to build infrastructure for other companies. So AI as an infrastructure is very important. It's all these companies should have, and also some industries, specific industries. As I said, I think defense tech, just taking into account what happens in our world, defense tech uh, will grow very fast.
Wow.
A lot of
Interesting.
money going there.
Yeah. Yeah. It does seem like that. Wow. Okay. Well, I want to come back now to the question that I asked you at the beginning of the episode that you wrote your answer down to. I asked you, what is something about raising money that founders often find out after it's too late? Can you show your answer to the camera and then I'll get you to explain your answer?
Oh, it's not written in a good way. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me just tell you.
Yeah.
Uh, what founders don't understand, it's investor psychology. They came out of the meeting and they don't understand why investor rejected. I have a great company, all these 5 elements in place, 5 Ps. I'm okay. An investor rejected because founder didn't start the meeting correctly. I can tell you some story. It was founder who offered 10% of the company for 200, 5% of the company for 250,000. 5%. And for the stage of the company, it was too much. And I wanted 10%. We wanted 10% for 250. And founder said, no, 250, 5%. We start to negotiate. And then founder told me one thing. Look, you're trying to push me down. Just imagine you succeeded, and I give you for 10% this investment to make this investment. Now next round, and the next investor will do the same with me, and you will lose your percentage in the company dramatically, because the next investment will be much bigger, and we will give up much more equity. Do you want such invest in such investor, or to such founder who will lose next time as well? Or you want to invest to the founder who has stamina and you will win finally? And I said, wow, I didn't think about it. I just told him about my interest now, not about my interest next time and a full company interest. So investors don't understand psychology, or founders don't understand psychology of investor, and who understand, they win.
Interesting. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. That's a good story. Oh my goodness. I feel like I've learned so much and I could ask you so many more questions, but that's really cool. I just wanted to say before I stop the recording, thank you for coming on today. Thank you for sharing your story and your knowledge about venture capitalism. I'm very glad that we were able to make this happen, and I just wanted to say thank you before I stop the recording.
I appreciate Kelsey for inviting me. It was very interesting conversation. You had amazing, very nice questions. I like your questions.
Thank you.
It's a process, proof, packaging. It's 1 second. I should recall it. I will make another 1 second.
Yeah.
I'll try another sound. Just try, we'll see. Because this
Yeah.
sound, I'm not satisfied with what I have now. Oh, now it should be. Tell something.
That's better for you? Can you hear
now
me
it's
okay?
much better. Yeah, now it's
Perfect.
much better.
Good. Awesome. What time is it for you where you are today?
I'm in Tel Aviv.
Tel Aviv. Okay. So what it's got to be like evening for you then.
Yes, 8 o'clock evening.
Wow. Okay. Do you normally
I'm here until end of July, then I'm back to United States for the whole August. Then, so I have different companies in many places. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just living in many places.